It is now being revealed that the US was hit very hard and suffered massive damage. Real reports are finally emerging about the extent of the destruction, despite the government cover-up. Today, we will explain what Donald Trump tried to hide. Donald Trump, who kept saying, "We destroyed their navy, we destroyed their air force, we did it. Iran is begging for a deal." The man who lied repeatedly from morning till night was only smiling to hide his bruises and wounds. This report comes from a U.S. newspaper itself. Even in the U.S., the group running Donald Trump's government appears more like a congregation or a powerful gang. One of them owns a major newspaper, the Washington Post. So what has this news revealed? What exactly has been exposed? We will try to understand the true losses suffered by the U.S. Hello and welcome. I am Kevin Taylor, and you have started watching The Truth Global. First, let us examine the dry, factual data. Then, we will analyze it. According to the report, at least 228 structures and pieces of military equipment were destroyed. Destroyed means completely finished. More than 15 U.S. military bases were damaged or ruined. Many attacks were highly precise. These were not blind bombings where missiles randomly struck somewhere. Instead, they targeted pre-selected military areas with accuracy. The U.S. government attempted to hide these losses, but according to the latest Washington Post report, the destruction could not be concealed from satellite imagery. The damage to air defense systems is also visible through those satellite images. We will discuss later how the losses were hidden and what false claims were made. Patriot missile defense batteries were damaged, and the THAAD radar system was hit as well. THAAD stands for Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, a system designed to intercept long-range ballistic missiles before they reach their targets. Despite these defenses, bases in Kuwait, Jordan, and the UAE were nearly destroyed. Many radar communication systems were wiped out. Numerous radomes were destroyed as well. Radomes are protective covers placed over radar systems. In addition, satellite communication sites, including dish antennas used to maintain contact with the outside world, were blown up and destroyed. Al Udeid Airways Qatar and the U.S. Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain suffered heavy damage. The Washington Post belongs to Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon. Along with figures like Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and Zuckerberg, Bezos is considered part of a small circle closely connected to Donald Trump. Yet even Bezos's newspaper is now publishing these details. According to reports, an E-3 Sentry command aircraft was shot down, a refueling aircraft was destroyed, and another recently disappeared. Prince Sultan Airways in Saudi Arabia reportedly lost assets as well. The E-3 Sentry is an airborne U.S. command and surveillance aircraft. It flies at high altitude with a large radar antenna mounted above it, allowing it to monitor vast areas and detect incoming missiles using advanced sensors. That aircraft was also destroyed. This report suggests the attacks effectively crippled the U.S. military's eyes and ears. Radar defense systems act as military vision, allowing threats to be detected from long distances. Once those systems are destroyed, missiles and weapons become nearly useless. Communication systems, radar installations, and surveillance capabilities were shattered from top to bottom. Soldiers reportedly panicked and ran for cover. Fuel depots were also destroyed. Fuel bladder storage sites, where large fuel reserves were kept for military operations, were blown up. Power plants generating electricity and major weapons warehouses were destroyed too. Fuel infrastructure at Ali al-Salem and Camp Arifjan in Kuwait suffered complete devastation. The fear among soldiers became so intense that many were simply trying to survive. Missiles reportedly struck army barracks where troops lived. Dining areas were also targeted. Imagine eating a meal when a missile suddenly lands nearby. Nothing would feel safe anymore. Gyms and troop housing facilities were destroyed as well. Iran selectively targeted these locations. 7 soldier deaths have reportedly been confirmed, while around 400 people were injured. However, those numbers may rise because the Pentagon continues describing the information as external reporting that could later be corrected when official figures are released. Now that the war has ended, attention has shifted toward understanding the real scale of destruction. Roughly 10 major locations suffered severe damage, including Camp Arifjan in Kuwait, Ali Al Salem Air Base in Kuwait, Camp Buehring in Kuwait, Naval Support Activity Bahrain, Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, and Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. Some facilities were fully destroyed, while others remained operational but in terrible condition. The question now is why the Washington Post accused authorities of concealment. According to the report, the government tried to suppress information and appeared visibly nervous while doing so. Commercial satellite imagery was reportedly restricted, and companies like Palantir stopped releasing updated images. Public U.S. briefings repeatedly minimized the damage, calling massive destruction minor scratches. Later, Iranian media released high-resolution images that independent analysts verified as authentic. Those verifications suggested the U.S. narrative was false, while Iranian claims about the scale of destruction were largely accurate. U.S. briefings initially described the attacks as causing only limited damage and very few successful strikes. Yet later evidence showed 228 destroyed structures and military systems reduced to rubble. Early media reports estimated around 100 targets had been struck, but so far at least 217 targets and 11 major equipment losses have reportedly been confirmed. These losses involved military systems worth trillions. Several attacks were falsely presented as successful interceptions. Officials claimed incoming Iranian missiles had been shot down, but evidence suggested many missiles struck their intended targets directly with precision. The operational impact was also downplayed. Bahrain naval support activity was described as suffering only minor disruption, even though headquarters operations reportedly had to be temporarily shifted to Florida. Casualty figures were slowly updated over time, with more than 400 injured and 7 killed, while information continued being suppressed. The concealment allegations grew stronger because satellite images were restricted and censorship increased. Once these details emerged, many analysts concluded Israel was also in serious trouble. Some argue that mounting military pressure, combined with political scandals involving Netanyahu and the Epstein files, pushed Donald Trump toward ending the conflict. The U.S. had allegedly suffered such severe damage that it struggled to respond, while Israel feared another wave of missile attacks. Reports suggest nearly everything was struck except Netanyahu himself, forcing leaders to prioritize survival. Iran reportedly hit areas including Tel Aviv, Ramat Gan, Yehud, Holon, and Dimona. Israel initially prevented disclosure of impact sites, though later it released selected footage in an attempt to portray Iran negatively. Reports acknowledged damage to residential buildings, commercial blocks, and public structures. Apartment complexes in Tel Aviv were hit, while cluster warhead strikes damaged buildings in Ramat Gan. Cultural locations such as the Habima Theater in Jerusalem reportedly suffered damage, while missile-related sites in Dimona were struck, causing large-scale injuries. Independent estimates suggest hundreds of buildings were affected. Military and political installations were also reportedly targeted. Palmachim Air Base, Ovda Air Base, and Shin Bet headquarters suffered damage. Strategic areas surrounding Ben Gurion Airport were hit, and the Dimona nuclear complex area was also affected. For a country as geographically small as Israel, such destruction represented an enormous blow. Airlines were disrupted, missile defense systems were damaged, and interceptors were destroyed. Iran effectively caused Israel severe military pain as well. Israel's military censorship then reportedly banned publication of strike locations to avoid revealing the true scale of damage. Journalists required government approval before releasing footage, and unauthorized reporting allegedly carried penalties of 5 to 10 years in prison. Reporting on military vulnerabilities was heavily restricted, especially if sensitive facilities were involved. Despite the censorship and blurred information, reports suggest Israel suffered extensive devastation throughout the conflict. In previous wars, even coalitions of Arab countries failed to defeat Israel. According to this narrative, this was the first time both Israel and the US suffered such heavy blows from Iran alone. Reasons cited for the censorship included restrictions on commercial imagery, Israel's small geographic size, rapid concealment of military sites, and limitations on Western media access. CNN reportedly continued broadcasting from inside Iran for some time, although restrictions later increased. Meanwhile, independent reporters, YouTubers, and journalists such as Sumaira Khan continued reporting openly from Iran. Many visitors described Iranian society as very different from Western media portrayals. Earlier depictions suggested strict oppression and severe punishments, yet travelers reported seeing women openly enjoying daily life and holidays. According to those accounts, many observers concluded that women in Iran experienced far more freedom and normalcy than Western media had previously suggested. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, please share it with as many people as possible. Subscribe to the channel